Unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to be coming back to Gainesville to see this game. It's so bad for both of these teams. It's being dubbed the Toilet Bowl, and that just pains me to say.
Yeah, and it might even be an abnormally cold game in Florida. It's been a little chilly this week, and there's a possibility that at game time it could only be in the 50s.
Nah, you'll still see people out there in shorts and a t-shirt.
Well, it's college football. You can see people up in, Ohio and whatnot.
That's true. Those people had
tops.
no shirts on this week.
No shirts and snow. Whew,
yeah, that's not the life for me, guys. There's been a lot of discussion about the head coach right now, but Randy Shannon is really trying to keep his guys focused and not really get involved in all that stuff. There's all these rumors going around. Will Chip Kelly be the new coach? He could. I'm not going to say anything right now because nothing's been officially released from the university, and that's who you should be trusting right now. As far as they're playing on the field, they got a nice win this week against UAB, and all of that was mainly because of Eddie Pinheiro. They have a great red zone conversion. They've only missed 2 opportunities this year, I want to say. They're around 95%. A lot of the time they make it into the red zone, they're limiting themselves to the field goal, and I think that's going to really hurt them. But one thing that's always stuck with Florida through these periods of rough offense has been their defense. UAB came into the swamp looking to cause some disruption. They're bowl eligible for the first time back in college football, and they looked like the better team going into this. Some people were favoring them, but they only got 180 yards offensively, and the Gators limited them to 1 touchdown during the fourth quarter. They had a stellar defense, and they even got 2 interceptions that game. That's going to be the key to this game, though Florida State's offense isn't looking much better.
And it's been a rough year when you're talking about UAB as a signature win that's really boosting your program. That's when you know that you're having a pretty down bad year. Florida State's not much different, though. Last week, they completely blew out Delaware State. It got to the point where they shortened the quarters in the second half to only 10 minutes. Blackman has shown a lot of improvement throughout the year. He's only thrown 1 interception in their last 3 games, and that was very apparent in their game against Clemson. They didn't pull out the win, but they hung in there. They were in there for the first 3 quarters, really the first 55 minutes of the game until Clemson just kind of blew it open late. And recent history, they've completely dominated Florida recently. They've won the last 4 years, and they haven't lost in Gainesville since 2009.
Florida State does struggle in the secondary. Shouldn't be much of an issue this game because Franks likes to throw a lot of interceptions. So as long as Derwin James is back there, he might be making some big plays on defense. Their defense overall could be better. They give up 150 rushing yards per game. But both of these teams, it's important to remember, they're coming into this game on a high. They've had really bad seasons. One thing I find interesting about Florida, though, and this has been a problem this year at home, is with the Tom Petty tribute, ever since they started that, their fourth quarters have not been good. I want to say the first game we started that was Texas A&M, and we gave up a lead the entire game to Texas A&M in the last minute of the fourth quarter. So that's an interesting fact that shouldn't play a role, but maybe the players are getting too hyped up during that. Maybe we see them getting tired a lot as well. The defense has been out on the field too much.
Florida State does have a couple stars on defense. Derwin James, he's had a pretty down year, especially by his standards. But, he's still an All-American last year. He's still in the talk for a lot of defensive awards, and a lot of NFL scouts are still looking at him. Even though the team hasn't been having the same success, he's still having a lot of success on the defensive side of the ball.
He was looking to be in the Heisman talk this year, but the one defensive player is not him. It's Minkah Fitzpatrick from Alabama.
And that just really goes to show you how down Florida State's been this year. They've had a lot of players who had an extreme amount of promise coming into the year, starting the season ranked number 3, and then they get blown out by Alabama, and they really just started a downward spiral at that point. But Florida, they're also having a pretty bad year. They've had this quarterback carousel with their 2 backups at the beginning of the year injured. Franks has been put back into the starting role mostly because he has to be. And That is never good for a quarterback when you get benched for 2 other players and they get injured and then you're forced to come back in as the starter. He can't be very confident at this point, especially when you consider all the turnovers he's had. Their defense this year has fallen to 63rd in the country in points allowed, giving up a little over 26 points a game. And their offense is only getting 22 points a game. It's never good when you allow more points than you give up on average throughout the season, especially when you're a big-name school like Florida is. And coach instability has been a huge issue. This is really a do-or-die season. Clearly, he died.
Eddie Pinheiro is the key player of the game. This season, the Gators, they've been relying on his foot more than anything. So no one deserves to be recognized more than this kid. He has missed 1 field goal and 1 extra point this season. And he took a lot of criticism for the 1 missed field goal. But it really wasn't his fault, and he's been making so many that it doesn't even matter. He's scored 5 field goals in his victory over UAB. He's drilled field goals from 80 yards in practice. Why do we even punt? We don't need to. We have this kid who can kick it he kicks it through the uprights
from the other side of the 50. He's absolutely ridiculous. And one of their backups, my brother goes to the same high school as their backup kicker, and he can kick 77-yarders, and he could in high school. They really have no need to punt. You get it to the 40-yard line, not even the right side of the 40, the wrong side of the 40, line up, kick a field goal, get 3 points, call it good.
I know. We shouldn't even be struggling on offense. We've got these 2 guys.
Yeah, I know. You just stop with the turnovers, just kick it on first down. No point in just not even worth it. Just go for field goals, Florida. Maybe it'll pan out.
We can screw up anything, though.
Yeah, I know. Florida State has a lot of defensive stars. Defensively, they haven't been the best this year. As a team, they haven't been the best this year. But along with Derwin James, they have Josh Sweat, who's the defensive leader for this team. It's his 3rd year there, and he has 11 tackles for loss and 4.5 sacks. A lot of NFL scouts are watching him, especially in this game, another huge rivalry. He has the opportunity to make a huge mark against a weak Florida offensive line, just offense in general. He's going to be adding to both those tackle for losses and sack numbers this week, and possibly even adding a couple turnovers to that. I just hate Florida State, so I'm going to go with Florida.
I'm going to go with Florida because knowing my luck, me not showing up to the game, which is a noon game, by the way, they're going to win. It's my senior season as well. They're going to win when I'm not there to see it. Especially if we get an announcement on the head coach this week. I think that might sharpen their focus a bit. I think it's the inconsistency of next year. A lot of those guys were really close with Coach Mack. So it wasn't like they lost a coach. It's more like they lost their home away from home. I mean, he made meals for the players in his office.
Yeah, he was a huge father figure for a lot of these guys.
If you enjoyed this matchup, be sure to check out our other rivalry games. And also, if you haven't checked out our Dizzy Sports Challenge, check it out. It's about 5 minutes of pure laughter as you watch both of us fail at sports.
It was a great time. It's about 5 minutes of watching us just repeatedly fall on our face and be possibly the most unathletic you could imagine.
Yeah, Griffin definitely was a little messed up by spinning around too many times.
My knee is still cut up after that. still bleeding.
The great thing is you don't feel it, though, because you're just so messed up.
Oh, my gosh. It was bad.
I face planted, and I didn't even feel it. I was laughing.
Best GIF you will ever see.
That is true. Thanks for watching. I'm Janae Muchmore.
And I'm Griffin Parkrose.
And you're watching RedZone to EndZone. Have a great weekend.